We're just moments away from adding a new chapter to college basketball's most storied rivalry.
There are moments in life where the smallest adjustments can make a big difference. Braun beard trimmers have up to 39 length settings, which adjust to the nearest half millimeter, giving you total control of your style. For the moments that matter to you. Braun, designed for what matters.
College mascots. When it comes to hyping up football fans, nobody does it better. But when it comes to mortgages, they're less confident. Fortunately, there's Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. It's...
Let's go. Left, left, left.
Because Grandma has always dreamed of going to Belize. Behind every story is the reason for transparency.
Bringing the whole family to a NASCAR race has never been easier or cheaper. Kids 12 and under are free for every Xfinity and Camping World Truck Series race on the schedule. Discounted tickets are also available for every Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series event. Visit NASCAR.com/kidstickets to learn more about free and discounted tickets for an event near you. Moving down the back stretch there at Homestead Miami Speedway. Let's go into the garage and Marty.
Hey, Rick, you mentioned that William Byron, the fastest of the championship four, the young 19-year-old, very happy with his race cars, you might imagine. Take a listen.
Pretty good to start, actually really good. And then transition a little bit free off the last couple laps. That was about it. Didn't have that dump point near as bad. Still had it a tick through 1 and 2, but really good through 3 and 4, and really good grip on entry.
And they've made continual improvements to the Stein car, but the one thing they keep referencing is how quick they are early in a run. So, Steve, as a crew chief, how worried would you be that, hey, you got to be good on old tires here at Miami? That's one of the toughest parts about this racetrack, saving tire, making sure that when the tires are worn out, because this place is so abrasive, you've got something to race with.
I think, Marty, what makes it a little more straightforward in the Xfinity Series is the limited amount of tires. They're so limited that everybody's going to put them on at the same time. So we're going to talk in the Cup race 9 sets. Well, that's going to be a little bit of a variety. You could work on when you put them on, but in the end, I think there's a short run and every long run. So I would want to have my car good on restarts. Jeff, that's when we see the most positions made up. Even with the tire strategy and when you're going to put them on and how they fall off, I think you have to be good on restarts. So I would start there and then worry about old tires.
I think the other thing here is, on a long run, you get that top working, it's hard to get by you. I mean, it's very difficult.
It's almost like the bottom everywhere else, right?
Exactly. So you get right against that wall, and a guy that's a little bit quicker than you, he's going to have a difficult time. But I will say this guy right here, Christopher Bell, in this racetrack, that move that he pulled to win the race at Texas, well, guess what? That's going to work here. I mean, the ability to drive in the corner deep and slide up against the wall, that is going to be something that can be used at this racetrack.
He's fighting for a championship. There are actually 2 championships that are up for grabs tomorrow. It'll be the Drivers' Championship, and we've talked about the 4, but then also an Owners' Championship, which Christopher Bell could help be a part of. You had mentioned this. You referenced it, Jeff.
I said Texas.
Here.
Yeah, I said Texas. I meant Kansas. So here that slide job just slid up in front of the 20, and, I don't think that really Eric Jones was anticipating that he was going to continue up. I think right there he's like, oh, I started checking up, but it was too late. But this is the kind of racetrack where you can intentionally overdrive the entry and just slide up in front of a guy, and you saw Christopher Bell make that work. Well, set an example for other people to follow. Parker.
Hey, Jeff, I actually spoke to Chris Gabehart, who's the crew chief on that 20 for Christopher Bell, and he turned to me, he goes, I got the horse for this course, right? Talking about being able to do those big slide jobs. He pointed down to the bottom 1 and 2. He said, if we need to make a pass, he's going to drive it to the white line there and hope it gets stopped before it hits the wall in front of the car in front of him.
The interesting thing is how are all the other drivers going to defend it? Because that's really what we talked about in Kansas, right? Is he put the move on, and it was the big slide job, and he slid up. But so if you're the car getting past, do you lift early and try to cross them over? Do you try to fill the slot before he can slide up? Like, so you know it's coming, but how do you defend the move?
Well, you know it's coming now. Right now, after Kansas, you know, okay, now Christopher Bell taught all these asphalt racers something about how you can make a pass. And we see that at Bristol. Since the groove at Bristol, you really think about Bristol, before the PJ1, the only place to pass was on the top, and we started seeing people use the slide job to make a pass. But that was about the only place, and he did it. He did it at Kansas, and now on this racetrack, I think we'll see more people doing it. It's risky. I mean, it's risky to do it because of that guy that you're making that move with. If he decides he don't want to make it work for you, he can make your life miserable.
That was such a great shot. You see the left front splitter kind of dragging down the straightaway, Rick, on this 18 of Ryan Preece, getting another opportunity to drive this 18 car. I don't think this was planned, but after having such a great run, running second early in the year, here's a replay of it. You see the smoke. That splitter material is kind of like a composite. I'm going to call it like plywood because it's layered, but it's not wood. It's like a composite that has layers to it. As it drags, it smokes like that. But as I was saying, had such a good run in this car earlier in the year, finally breaking through, I should say finally, and there's only in his second start in that car, breaks through and gets a win at Iowa, and now we see him a little bit more, and tonight going to try to win the owner's title for this 18 car.
Ryan Preece, as you mentioned, only a couple starts. This will just be his 4th start in the Xfinity Series, but back in Iowa, what an incredible duel he had going, where he ended up, he was driving the 20 car for that race, but ended up getting the win. His 3 finishes this year, a 2nd, that win, and a 4th. So Ryan Preece has shown that he's capable of running in this series and running up front.
And it's interesting, Rick, with the rules that NASCAR has put in place as far as driver requirements and who is allowed and who's not allowed to run this race, Joe Gibbs Racing has really had to turn to inexperienced drivers to try to win this championship. I don't want to call him young. Ryan Preece is 27 years old. He's not young, and he has driven thousands of laps in race cars, just not in the Xfinity Series. So he's going to have to try to close out this deal for Joe Gibbs Racing.
Well, think about the experience that's creating. I mean, it's you're stepping in. You've run a limited schedule. Now you as the driver have the weight of the world on your shoulders to get a championship done. So when both of these young drivers leave here tomorrow night, they're going to be smarter. They're going to be better. They both can't win. They'll be right. They're going to learn something by having been exposed to this pressure and having been exposed to this experience. And what a great opportunity to learn.
Justin Allgaier currently in the 8th position. Parker?
Right, Rick, and he just jumped up there because they put sticker tires on that 7 car to see what speed they have in it. But take a listen to who just chimed in on his radio.
Hey, Justin, Chad, you got a radio check? Yeah, buddy, loud and clear. Simple. Just want you to get the tone of my voice.
So, I've been asking the team what exactly is Chad doing here. They've been very tight-lipped about it, but, you know, he's not only watching, now he's chiming in a little bit. Let's see what goes from here.
Well, Parker, if he needs him to understand what his voice sounds like, then I'm not doing that because he's not going to be talking.
Exactly.
And that leads me to believe that you could see Chad Knaus on the box tomorrow afternoon calling the race.
And that'll be interesting. I mean, you know, so Jason Burdett obviously has an influence on this race team. Wherever he is, you can communicate through email, text message. There's so many different ways to communicate. But when you talk about calling the race, there are going to be split-second decisions. When the caution comes out, you know, what are you going to do? Follow what the leaders do? If half the leaders pit? Like, you're going to have to make those decisions. So I think it's wise for them to get someone like Chad. Think about it this way. It'd be almost unfair to anybody else in the team to put him in this position with a championship on the line. Chad Knaus has won 7 at the Cup level. He's the type of guy that can make those split-second decisions.
But remember, it's different calling an Xfinity race than it is a Cup race. The tire limit is completely changes the game. But Chad Knaus, hey, listen, if you said to me, hey, we're going to get Chad Canals to do this for you, I don't think I turn it down. I think it's a great option, but it's not just as easy. It's not like a guy coming in and picking on, crew chiefs in a lower division, because he's coming in and playing by their rules.
Right.
And that makes it a little more challenging.
And again, talked about the fact that Chad Canals may be calling the race for Justin Allgaier.
Don't stop me now. If you want to have a good time, just give me a call. Don't stop me, don't stop me, don't stop me. Hey, hey, hey. Don't stop me, don't stop me. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Don't stop me, don't stop me. Have a good time, good time. Don't stop me, don't stop me. Don't stop me. Having a good time. Don't stop me. Yes, having a good time. I don't want to stop at all.
The all-new 2018 Camry. Toyota. Let's go places.
Where's Gary?
Saved money on motorcycle insurance with Geico. Going up the country.
Geico Motorcycle. Great rates for great rides. There are moments in life where the smallest adjustments can make a big difference. Braun beard trimmers have up to 39 length settings, which adjust to the nearest half millimeter, giving you total control of your style. For the moments that matter to you. Braun, designed for what matters.
College mascots. When it comes to hyping up football fans, nobody does it better. But when it comes to mortgages, they're less confident. Fortunately, there's Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. It's simple, so they can understand the details and be sure they're getting the right mortgage. Apply simply, understand fully, mortgage confidently. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans, proud supporter of college athletics.
Let's go. Left, left, left.
Because Grandma has always dreamed of going to Belize. Behind every story is the reason for transparency.
We're gonna rock around the clock tonight. Put your glad right show. Join me home. We'll have some fun when the clock strikes one. We're gonna rock around the clock tonight.
The Reuben is back for a limited time at Subway. So much Reuben.
Together, we Black Friday in a big way. We get the brands we know best with the features that work the smartest, so we can make our holidays the most memorable. Get the lowest prices of the year with 40% off major appliances like the Samsung Kitchen Suite, only at the Home Depot.
NBC with the NBC Sports app. Get closer with alternate camera angles, driver stats, and track information. At any time, anywhere. Sun going down as we see Cole Custer making his way around in the 00. The 19-year-old. California, what an incredible battle he had going, trying to make it into the championship 4. The fight was on between he and the 21.
Ended up being basically a position. They were battling over 1 point.
And we were worried late in the race Daniel Emerson will get himself in trouble because he was in pretty good position, but I'm not real sure he understood the entire situation and was pushing the issue pretty hard, but it all worked out for Daniel.
You and I were screaming, basically, is what you're saying, Jeff, because that last lap, we wanted to make sure he knew the situation. But, you know, it was a little refreshing to see two younger, up-and-coming stars battle the way they did, but yet, in my mind, Jeff, that's good racing. A little bumper, you know, but I think when meaning to hit you, it was really a good battle.
It was a
Blake Cook had the best seat for the whole thing. He was right behind them both.
He was pretty convinced they were going to mess up his good run.
He wanted no part of it.
What's so unique about this racetrack, remember, there's essentially variable degree banking here, and as you go higher up the racetrack, it gains banking, so there's a lot of options for a driver. You can run right against the wall. You see that seam right there where his left side tires are. The one thing I can promise you is you don't want to be on that. You want to be above it or below it.
Cole Custer really looked strong when the playoffs began. all top 10 finishes in the first round. Had a little hiccup at Kansas with a 19th place finish, but followed it back up with 5th and 7th, but it just wasn't enough for him to get into this championship four. Marty?
Hey, Rick, that's Sam Hornish Jr. in the 22. We were talking about Joe Gibbs Racing a moment ago, having to, pick drivers who maybe they wouldn't have normally picked to get in a car. They certainly love Sam Hornish being in the car for Team Penske when they can go to the bench and pull out a guy like this. But one interesting thing, Sam, is when he got the call from Team Penske about running here at Miami, he said, listen, that's a 1.5 mile racetrack. I've been running the Iowas of the world in the Xfinity Series. I've been running these shorter tracks. I really feel like I need to get in the car at 1.5 miles, another 1.5 miles, just to get ready to run Miami, because I know we'll be running for an owner's championship there. So they picked Charlotte a couple of weeks ago, stuck Sam in the car there. They actually brought an extra car there just to get him lap times on a 1.5 mile racetrack to get back used to running at these speeds. So Jeff, when you've been running like Iowa and places like that, you haven't been at 1.5 miles. It's a bit of a curveball to throw in and say, hey, go win us a championship, isn't it, for Sam Hornish? That's why they wanted to run Charlotte before he ran Miami.
Yeah, I think it is. 1.5 miles are unique, but this racetrack is unique. I don't consider this to be a racetrack like Charlotte or like Texas or like Kansas or like Chicago. It is such a unique racetrack in how you drive into the corners, where you lift, where you get back into the throttle, the fact that you can run, on the very, very bottom. It races more like, to me, it always raced more like a short track, a multiple groove short track, rather than a super high grip 1.5 miles, say like Charlotte. So I think that you cannot be over prepared, and I thought it was a good idea, but I don't view this as a high grip 1.5 miles.
Running right up against the wall here at Miami, and sometimes you pick something up and throw it into the air. Sometimes it hits our camera lens.
It takes hard work, grit, and determination to become a professional football player like Luke Kuechly. But it only takes 15 minutes to see how much you could save on car insurance with Geico.
There are moments in life where the smallest adjustments can make a big difference. Braun beard trimmers have up to 39 length settings, which adjust to the nearest half millimeter, giving you total control of your style. For the moments that matter to you, Braun, designed for what matters.
College mascots are confident, but when it comes to mortgages, they're less confident. Fortunately, there's Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Apply simply, understand fully, mortgage confidently. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans, proud supporter of college athletics.
Let's go. Left, left, left.
Because Grandma has always dreamed of going to Belize. Behind every story is the reason for transparency.
We're gonna rock around the clock tonight. Put your glad rags on. Join me home. We'll have some fun when the clock strikes one. We're gonna rock around the clock tonight.
The Reuben is back for a limited time at Subway. So much Reuben.
Carson Wentz, the league-leading Eagles take on Dak Prescott and the Cowboys. That coverage beginning at 7 Eastern. And Thanksgiving night, it's another NFC East showdown. The Giants take on the Redskins in prime time on NBC. Gorgeous shot of the sunset here. And again, almost symbolic of what's taking place with the Xfinity Series. This is it. This is the last practice of the year for the series, and the 4 championship drivers trying to hone their cars, get them ready for tomorrow's championship battle. Parker.
As we watch the 21 of Daniel Hemrick go around, he just put stickers on, so they did their fastest lap, which jumped them up to 13 on the board. Maybe not quite what they were looking for, but look at their team. They were all watching the timing and scoring monitor there to see how fast he would go on those sticker tires and intently watching as he goes around right now, trying to see what those lap times are for Daniel Hemrick on these new tires, Marvin.
Parker Elliott Sadler doesn't have the blinding speed early in a run, but they look to be one of the best on longer runs. In fact, on 10-lap average, they are pretty quick. Elliott's going to come back in right now after a short run this past time, but very happy with the car and how it stays for longevity. You know, Steve, they did something interesting in the first practice. You can tell the leadership and you can tell the experience on this team. Elliott's in the car right now, but every time in the first practice he would come in, he intentionally got out of the car. He told me he wanted to have that one-on-one communication with Kevin Mandering, his crew chief. Look in his eyes, said, we're not in a hurry. We only had a couple sets of tires here, but he felt like that communication eye to eye was more important than turning a bunch of laps in that first practice session. What do you think about that, Steve?
Well, I think that is basically the pro for this race team. And Kevin Mandering and Elliott Sadler have found a way to work together. It seems like at the end of every race, they have improved their car. So, listen, experience. He knows, right? He gets what he needs to do. He understands the opportunity. The con is really no momentum. You know, can he go out and beat these youngsters? Because he just hasn't been quite as strong the last few weeks as he was earlier in the year. So is that momentum or lack of momentum going to hurt this team? I don't know. But, Marty, I think you're absolutely right. Elliott Sadler knows what he needs. Kevin Mandering, I may be a bit partial. He was my engineer for years. I think he's one of the brightest minds in the garage area. An old late model racer, understands racing. His brother is actually the crew chief on Cole Custer. It's a racing family. And I think Kevin Mandering understands Elliott, and they work very well together. And as we talk, you know, practice is one thing, but in the race, you're going to run 25, 30, 35, 40, 45 laps straight on a set of tires. That's totally different, right, Jeff? So you're going to have to make adjustments as the sun sets, and I look for this one team that's their strength, to make adjustments and stay ahead of the racetrack.
And the other thing, I think, a strength here at this racetrack is Elliott Sadler's ability to run the top. He's very good running right against the wall. He's very good at putting that car just 2 inches from the wall and doing it all night long, and I think that's an advantage here. And I think it's a little hard to gauge where these teams are because of the Xfinity Series schedule and the introduction of the composite body. So that really changed the cycle of when they were running their best car. And so with so many new cars having to be built, you didn't have a lot of your best cars. And this is the race. I mean, this is the race that you've brought your very, very best. And you know, and I do know that Elliott Sadler kept talking about that. We got our favorite car. We got our favorite car. We're gonna, you know, he said that several times in interviews. So maybe he is able to bring a little more speed.
We're looking now at Brennan Poole in the 48s, and a week ago he was right in the middle of the playoff hunt, trying to make it into the championship four. A rookie in the Xfinity Series making his first start, Caesar in the 8s. Up the racetrack a bit, tries to bring it back down. Contact made with a 48. It goes hard into the wall. And the possibilities of Brennan Poole advancing in the playoffs gone.
Rick, I think what makes this even more disappointing is just they really brought the performance when the playoffs started. They only had one top 5 in the regular season. That was at 4th earlier in the year at Iowa. But when the playoffs started, 2nd at Kentucky, 5th at Dover, 5th at Charlotte. I mean, that first round, he stepped up, said, okay. And that's what you want, right? It's one thing to be good. It's another thing to be good in the postseason. And that's what Brennan Poole did. He gave himself an opportunity. I think it really looked like he had a chance. You know, someone that earlier in the year we might have not said he could make those championship 4 at Miami, he proved us wrong in the playoffs. I think that's what made last week so disappointing.
The other thing is, we don't know what he's doing next year. Like, he's at the height of his career as far as where he has been so far. He has gotten better as a race car driver. He has matured as a race car driver, and we have not heard what his plans are for next year. So a little uncertainty there at a time in your career where you're starting to be able to perform on a consistent basis.
And looking so strong. Again, the unfortunate accident in Phoenix a week ago takes him out of the championship 4, but those are the 4 drivers right there fighting for a title. And it'll all happen tomorrow.
And I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
The all-new 2018 Camry. Toyota. Let's go places.
Barry Sanders is one of the greatest running backs in football history. When it came to ducking defenders, nobody did it better. He's also a serious dodgeball player.
Here's the spin. Patriots left. Holy mackerel. Barry still got it.
But when it comes to mortgages, he's less confident. Fortunately, there's Rocket Mortgage. It's simple, so he can understand the details and be sure he's getting the right mortgage. Apply simply, understand fully, mortgage confidently. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans.
Let's go.
Left, left, left.
Because Grandma has always dreamed of going to Belize. Behind every story is the reason for transparency.
State Farm knows it's more than a truck, so why not give it the protection it deserves?
We're gonna rock around the clock tonight. Put your glad right show. Join me home. We'll have some fun when the clock strikes one. We're gonna rock around the clock tonight.
The Reuben is back for a limited time at Subway. So much Reuben.
Together, we Black Friday in a big way. We get the brands we know best with the features that work the smartest, so we can make our holidays the most memorable. Get the lowest prices of the year with 40% off major appliances like the Samsung or GE fridge, only at the Home Depot.
Homestead, Miami Speedway. Marty.
Hey, Rick, William Byron, we've talked about how they've made positive changes throughout the day until this last run. Listen on the radio.
Honestly, I think it was better the other way, and I think I'm a little bit too loose balance-wise, just a hair. My exit and entry is just a little bit insecure, and my center really wasn't much better, I don't think.
But Dave Ellen promised to undo the last changes. But Steve, here's a real question. Gotten dark all of a sudden? You know the racetrack's changed a little bit, so if you're Dave Ellens, how much are you questioning, hey, was that the change I made on the car, or is the racetrack changing, and what do I do to make it better?
Well, you're definitely questioning the racetrack, the tires. They cycle differently. So I assume, as you reported, he's going to take the change back out, and you hope that the car goes back to how it was driving before. If it doesn't, then you have to start digging into what are your teammates saying. Are other teams complaining about that loose entry? Is that insecurity happening for everyone? So, I mean, those are the games you have to play and the details you have to go through. That's why we talk about when practice is over, all of these companies go into those debriefs. And that's what you do. Is you basically go back run by run, line by line, every bit of feedback, and see if there's any correlation between the cars.
Nine back on the access road, heading back out onto the track. In William Byron, the youngest of the championship four, just 19 years old, from Charlotte, North Carolina, already 4 wins, including last week at Phoenix, where he went out and looked like a veteran. A quick pit stop with a pit crew that was thrown together because they didn't have their regular crew. They decided to do just a 2-tire stop. He gets out in front, and he's able to hold off any challengers.
So let me ask you guys a question. When have you guys seen this driver make a rookie mistake? I mean, seriously, think about that. Think about, you go back and think about his career as he has raced. Where are those rookie mistakes? Where are those things that you think the young driver is going to do? It's amazing what he has done with limited experience prior to getting to these levels of racing. I mean, when he went K&N racing, he only had a few years of racing under his belt. And he has changed the game. His commitment to iRacing, to those kind of things, has made a generation think, hey, that's the way to train because of the success that he's had.
His car control is unbelievable, and it's just natural. As you said, it's not an experience thing. It's just natural. I mean, he just looks comfortable behind the wheel. But you talk about mistakes and rookie mistakes. Well, it's also, we have to remember, one race, highest finishing car wins the championship, and you have no idea how the race is going to fall. We have seen so many close races here in Miami. This was last year's race. The 07 of Ray Black Jr. brings out the yellow. All of the leaders come to pit road to put tires on. but one car stayed on the racetrack. And when he stayed on the racetrack, right here, the 14 of Cole Witt, he then became the leader. He has every right to do this, but because of that, he's now going to take a position on the restart. And he chose the outside. He was on old tires. We've talked about how important the tires are. And you see instantly, Elliott Sadler, the 19 right there, they all could get out. And Eric Jones, I think, was the one that kind of was shorted on the whole deal because he had to start behind the old tire. So we talk about practice, how good your car is, but all of these things have to go your way to win a championship.
And in that situation, had he not stayed out, all four cars would have started in the top four positions. And you would add, almost every time we come here, that's what it boils down to. You have the guys that are racing for a championship that are in front of the pack. It's been incredible.
Elliott Sadler, one of the championship four. He's the second best of the championship four here at Miami in this final practice.
Don't stop me now. If you want to have a good time, just give me a call. Don't stop me, don't stop me, don't stop me. Hey, hey, hey. Don't stop me, don't stop me. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Don't stop me, don't stop me. Have a good time, good time. Don't stop me, don't stop me. Don't stop me. Having a good time. Don't stop me. Yes, I'm having a good time. I don't want to stop at all.
The all-new 2018 Camry. Toyota. Let's go places.
College mascots are confident, but when it comes to mortgages, they're less confident. Fortunately, there's Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Apply simply, understand fully, mortgage confidently. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans, proud supporter of college athletics.
Let's go.
Left, left, left. Because Grandma has always dreamed of going to Belize. Behind every story is the reason for transparency.
State Farm knows it's more than a truck, so why not give it the protection it deserves?
We're gonna rock around the clock tonight. Put your glad right song. Join me home. We'll have some fun when the clock strikes one. We're gonna rock around the clock tonight.
The Reuben is back for a limited time at Subway. So much Reuben.
Together, we Black Friday in a big way. We get the brands we know best with the features that work the smartest, so we can make our holidays the most memorable. Get the lowest prices of the year with 40% off major appliances like the Samsung Kitchen Suite, only at the Home Depot.
Your turn to make the guac. Make sure you use the avocados from Mexico.
Yeah, I'll do it in a sec.
What? How is that delay of game?
Did the ref just leave?
So, I'm gonna make that guac now.
No guac, no game.
Avocados from Mexico.
Series regular season champions.
It's one race to win one championship.
Justin Allgaier wins.
Our season comes down to this one race.
The 21 of Hemrick fighting to get into the championship four, and he will do it.
I feel like what we have is opportunity.
Byron is going to win at Phoenix.
It's been incredible to make it to this point.
NASCAR championships in both the Xfinity and Monster Energy Cup Series will be decided this weekend live here in Miami. Tomorrow it's Xfinity Series at 3 Eastern on NBCSN, then watch Sunday at 3 Eastern on NBC. The final four drivers race for the Cup Series championship. Parker.
Yeah, Justin Allgaier right now currently 13th on the timing sheet. Had a little discussion with his spotter TJ Majors about lane choice. Take a listen.
I'm pretty sure you could probably move up another lane and probably get another 10th or so out of it. Yeah, 10-4, I agree with that. But I think those are very competitive for where you are running.
And guys, that is the choice you have to make. We talked about at the beginning of the show. As a driver here, you know there's that available speed, available grip right next to the wall, but it's also risky. You can get into the wall, so you run a little bit lower, you run a little bit more conservatively, and then think you have that in your back pocket to be able to go up there and get that little extra 10. Although I can say that Justin Allgaier just came in after another run, and they actually had a little issue where he felt like the splitter was getting into the racetrack. But Jeff, that's the thing. That's the hard choice for these drivers is how close you want to get to that wall, and do you know you have that speed available?
Parker, I think that the thing for me was always that I needed to go there and practice. I didn't need to run there all the time, but I needed to go there and practice because I didn't want to learn how to do it in the race. You know, when it got game time and I had to find speed, I hated to be pushing the issue when there was somebody pushing my issues. So I think it's wise to take care of your car, but I also think it's wise to go put yourself in that situation to understand exactly what you need to do to run the top, to run the fastest way on the top, because everybody can run the top, but some people do it better than others.
Well, you mentioned the top, and Justin Allgaier, this was a year ago, and the top lane was fast, but not his friend. You see right here, heavy contact, right side tires smoking. I mean, once you get into the wall, it's pretty hard to get off the wall. It kind of pulls you in. There's another shot. You see up front there challenging. Thought he had a shot at the championship. That's a squeeze through that small hole. And then right here, you can see the right side of the car, but Jackman fell, and then as we documented, he was in that outside lane for that restart. And there was nowhere to go, right? I mean, you see all the cars going by on the inside, and the disappointment because he had run so well. And I think that's what is going to make this year, you know, even more refreshing. He has the opportunity to come back and race for a championship again.
Hey, Steve, there's a term for getting stuck in the wall. It's called wall glue. That's what it is. You get stuck in it. Just gets you almost get basically stuck in like glue, and you can't get off. You can't turn off it when you get into the wall here. I don't know why that is, but that's what we call it.
I mean, there's so much speed up there that actually, when I was down here with either Cup drivers in that Xfinity race we talked about, you have to manage it from on top of the pit box. Remember, these drivers don't know how fast they're going compared to everybody else. They can only see who's out the window. So if your lap times are very competitive, Jeff, there are times where I would tell my driver, hey, times are really, really good. Why don't you give yourself an extra foot or two? Let's not damage the race car. We're 25% of the way into this race. You're doing fine. Like you talk, they're bumper to bumper around the top. You're not going anywhere. Just settle in, stay out of the fence, take care of the car.
So as we were watching that replay of that restart, Justin Allgaier got caught on the top. Look at the right side of all the cars. So 14 car damage, 20 car damage, 7 car damage. All these cars have damage on the right side. The 42 has damage on the car. That's because on this racetrack, it's faster to be 2 inches from the wall than it is to be a foot from the wall. So that's what we're going to see Saturday. I mean, you have to push the issue. If you're going to win this race, you have to be 2 inches from the wall, not 2 feet from the wall.
Fastest way around seems to be right up next to the wall here at Homestead, Miami. Again, final practice takes place for the Xfinity Series under 8 minutes to go.
Don't stop me now. If you wanna have a good time, just give me a call. Don't stop me, don't stop me, don't stop me. Hey, hey, hey. Don't stop me, don't stop me. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Don't stop me, don't stop me. Have a good time, good time. Don't stop me, don't stop me. Oh, don't stop me. Having a good time. Don't stop me. Yes, I'm having a good time. I don't wanna stop at all.
The all-new 2018 Camry. Toyota. Let's go places.
College mascots are confident, but when it comes to mortgages, they're less confident. Fortunately, there's Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Apply simply, understand fully, mortgage confidently. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans, proud supporter of college athletics.
Let's go.
Left, left, left. Because Grandma has always dreamed of going to Belize. Behind every story is the reason for transparency.
I am so sorry.
Don't apologize to me, bro. Tell him.
Riggs, I'm sorry.
He doesn't accept your apology.
No, he doesn't. Quite threatening, too.
We're gonna rock around the clock tonight. Put your glad right song. Join me home. We'll have some fun when the clock
Reuben is back for a limited time at Subway. So much Reuben.
Together, we Black Friday in a big way. We get the brands we know best with the features that work the smartest, so we can make our holidays the most memorable. Get the lowest prices of the year with 40% off major appliances like the Samsung laundry pair, only at the Home Depot.
Your turn to make the block.
Yeah, I'll do it in a sec.
What? How is that delayed game? I'm gonna make that guac now.
No guac, no game.
Avocados from Mexico.
Marty.
Hey, Rick, 2 hours of Xfinity practice almost in the books, and I have found a very interested observer. The man on the right in the red shirt is Wayne Otten, series director for the Xfinity Series, and he has spent the last 2 hours really pacing back and forth between these two cars. So no cars in this stall, so he's going to walk over here. Brad, you can come on over here to the right with me, and he'll go over here to visit Elliott Sadler, just to make sure what they're up to, and he'll occasionally have a conversation with a driver. NASCAR has also assigned an official to all 4 of the championship contending teams in all 3 of the major series. See Wayne telling these guys 5 minutes left here in practice, but City Hall is watching is all I'm saying, Steve. Is making sure that nobody getting away with anything here in the Xfinity Series.
Well, Marty, Jeff, you and I spent some time down in the garage here, and we talked to both series directors in the Cup side and the Xfinity side. And you could tell the pressure's on NASCAR as well. This is a huge moment, a huge platform, right? The stage is as big as it's going to be. 4 guys are going for a championship, and as a sanctioning body, I could just feel it in the conversation. They feel the pressure to make sure it's a fair playing field. They don't care who wins. They just want to make sure whoever does it with the integrity of the rule book in mind, and they want it to be a battle on the racetrack. So I actually encourage that. If it takes an official assigned with them, whether it's Wayne Otten walking the garage, whatever it has to be, so at the end of the day, you can go to the 3 losing teams, look them in the face and say, listen, guys, you just got beat, right? You got beat. That's how it happened.
And Wayne's the kind of director that he's in touch with everybody. He walks around, talks. He's really involved, and I don't think they're surprised to see Wayne Otten in their garage areas by any means.
Literally riding along with Justin Allgaier right on his helmet. Parker.
And guys, look where he's running. It's right next to that wall. He actually came on the radio and gave his team an update that he was planning to do that. Take a listen.
Yes, sir. We're going to do that, and also maybe run a lap or 2 on the top.
The top. That means right next to the wall. That's what he wanted to do. So, Jeff, he listened to you. You said you wanted to practice a little bit before you get in the race. That's exactly what Justin's doing right here.
Now, if he hits the wall, this is a bad idea.
You're right. It would be a bad idea.
No, you got to go there. You got to put yourself there. There's some risk in it. There's no question. But you're driving a race car for a living. There's some risk involved, and if you're going to go fast, you just got to put it there.
Literally, how close is he to the wall right now? I mean, we're riding along, and this is what the driver sees. He can't see the right front of that car. How close is he?
He is right there. He's about 6 inches. Before, he was probably just over a foot, 18 inches maybe. But right there in the middle of the corner, he was all but hitting it.
And, Jeff, one of the biggest telltales to me, like when you're running really close to the wall like that, is how you judge off the sound of the exhaust pipe, right? When it gets that real high-pitched noise reverberating off the wall, that's when you know you're as close as you should be. I don't know if that's just me or you use the same thing.
No, that's right. You use sound, but also use feel. And so one thing that's very unique, and at this racetrack particularly, the closer you get to the wall, the more grip there is. And it almost feels like, and I've heard Junior say this, it almost feels like there's a cushion of air, like you slide up there, and it's almost like you can't hit it. Like if you just kind of go in there and you just slowly get to it, it's almost like, I'm not going to hit it because something happens and it just keeps you off of it. So then you just keep pushing the limit. You just keep pushing it, and ultimately you do get it. But it's amazing at this racetrack how just right up against the wall, it just makes the car go fast.
And when you say up against the wall, so he's entering and then sliding up kind of to the wall. Well, we're going to see that's different than that, or is he a little lower all the way through the corner that time? But we're going to see different than that. And someone like, say, Kyle Larson, I've seen Dale Jr. do it. I'm trying to think who else enters high. What I mean is, Rick, they never leave the wall. They run a foot down the wall, and they literally follow the wall up into the corner.
Well, he's come off the wall now. He went up there and ran a few laps on the wall. He's not on the wall any longer. He wanted to get a few laps there, get a feel for it, understand what his car did. Now he's moved back to a little bit safer line.
Marty. Under a minute to go, guys. Just want to give you a feel of how these championship contenders are feeling with their race cars. Elliott Sadler extremely happy with how that car hangs on old tires. They've mentioned it several times during this practice session. He's certainly going to be a factor. William Byron just practiced pit road a moment ago. They're very happy with the front end speed they have on the 9 car. And as we talked about earlier, that may be a key as well, because you always want to be good on those restarts late in the race.
15 seconds of practice for the 2017 season for the Xfinity Series.
So, Rick, you just heard practice pit road. One thing that's also very different here than most tracks is this is the exit of pit road, but you don't go directly up onto the racetrack. When you exit pit road, you have to use the access road through 1 and 2. And, Jeff, I've seen cars straight through the grass on the access road. So, you see, you don't go to the right up on the track. You go on this access road you see right here. So, you see that car go by. That's perfect. And you don't think you're racing, but there's no pit road speed there. That's racing. That's as hard as you can go. The more time you can make them on the access road, the more successful your pit stop can be.
Without spinning out.
Try not to spin out. That's usually a rule everywhere, though.
That's right. Red and black flags being displayed, that's it. That is the last time that these cars will be on the track for practice. They will qualify tomorrow and race tomorrow afternoon. William Byron was fastest of the championship 4 and fastest in final practice. Take a look at top 10 overall. Again, Byron on the top of that chart. Elliott Sadler also a part of the top 10. Ben Kennedy, Cole Custer, Bell, and Sam Hornish Jr. all in the top 5. Coming up next, it's Monster Energy Cup Series qualifying right here on NBCSN. Stay with us.
Don't stop me now. If you wanna have a good time, just give me a call. Don't stop me, don't stop me, don't stop me. Hey, hey, hey. Don't stop me, don't stop me. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Don't stop me, don't stop me. Have a good time, good time. Don't stop me, don't stop me. Don't stop me. Having a good time. Don't stop me. Yes, I'm having a good time. I don't wanna stop at all.
The all-new 2018 Camry. Toyota. Let's go places.
College mascots are confident, but when it comes to mortgages, they're less confident. Fortunately, there's Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Apply simply, understand fully, mortgage confidently. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans, proud supporter of college athletics.
Let's go.
Left, left, left. Because Grandma has always dreamed of going to Belize. Behind every story is the reason for transparency.
Believe it or not, I'm walking on air. I never thought I could feel so.
State Farm knows it's more than a truck, so why not give it the protection it deserves?
We're gonna rock around the clock tonight. Put your glad rags on. Join me home. We'll have some fun when the clock strikes 1. We're gonna rock around the clock tonight.
The Reuben is back for a limited time at Subway. So much Reuben.
Together, we Black Friday in a big way. We get the brands we know best with the features that work the smartest, so we can make our holidays the most memorable. Get the lowest prices of the year with 40% off major plans.
undefeated champions again.
Kyle comes across the line. He wins today, and he's going to Miami.
It's NASCAR Monster Energy Cup Series qualifying, presented by Ford Performance. There has already been one contest. It was practice earlier to determine who the best of the championship 4 would be. This one, a little bigger of a contest. Who will start closer to the front or maybe up front and win the pole of a championship 4? Alongside Steve Letarte, Jeff Burton, I'm Rick Allen. So important coming into this weekend. Every single time they go out onto the racetrack, there's a contest. And now it's time for qualifying. So, Jeff, what are we expecting out of these 4?
Well, this is the first contest that really counts.
Right.
And the reason it counts is track position. Now, remember, there's no stages for these guys, right? There's cautions and there's stages, but they don't get any points. It's just whoever finishes in front of whomever at the end of the race. So track position is going to matter for the end of the race, and I think that ultimately who we're going to see today with the fastest car, they have an advantage because they have the fastest car and they'll gain some track position.
Well, track position and the best pit stall. If they could somehow sit on the pole and get that first pit stall, that would help them throughout the race. That's something they can take every single cycle, every single pit stop, maybe gain a position or two. But I'm really going to be watching Brad Keselowski in this qualifying session. They struggled in practice. They had a brake issue, only made a couple runs, never seemed to really figure it out. So either the other 3 of the championship 4 were on top of the speed charts. Brad Keselowski never even used a second set of tires, so it's a little unknown what kind of speed we're going to see out of the 2 car.
It's such a big weekend and such a big night here in qualifying. We're going to bring in our championship 3, which is Krista, Kyle, and GJ to chime in on qualifying.
Yeah, you're in trouble if you're looking for championship. Now, we do have some thoughts, though, because we're out here in the fan zone, and the fans, as the sun sets, they seem to be getting a little rowdy, a little feisty. They're ready for championship weekend. So the guys made great points. The fact that we don't really know what we're going to see from Brad, DJ, but I think what will be interesting, this will be the first time we've had a championship race with stage points. How will that possibly affect, because all of these guys have been racing in different ways, different agendas up until now. Now it's just the 4 of them against each other.
Yeah, I think the race on Sunday with that, as others are racing